So is buying a home too expensive right now, right? That's the question everyone who is interested in buying a home is asking. This is going to be a mortgage rates breakdown specifically for you because you want to buy a home. So why does it feel impossible to buy a home right now? Because obviously, because it's so expensive, right? Rates are high, cost of homes are high, at least, I mean, in most areas. I know absolutely here in California, the home pricing has gone parabolic since COVID. So we're going to take a look at practically what percentage of your income is actually going to go to housing if you were to buy a house. That's, of course, where mortgage rates, where they stand today, and the real mechanics behind why rates move up and down. So, one thing I just want to ensure you understand is that this is not about guessing or opinions. It's not my opinions. We're using real data from the Federal Reserve, Freddie Mac, and other official sources as well. Okay. Of course, I will give you some of my opinions too, but the data that I'm showing you is real data that's credible. So by the end of this, right, you'll be able to understand why housing costs so much, why they're in the situation that they're in right now with the cost, and of course, the economic forces that are impacting it. And most importantly, you'll start to see whether buying a home makes sense for you in your current situation, for your family, right? If it's from an affordability standpoint, if it's good for you all. But most importantly, I make these videos because I want to ensure that you are informed first and foremost. Okay. It's important for you to also do your research on this stuff as well. But if anything, I'd like for you to be able to take away some things that you may not have gotten if you didn't come across my video. So before moving forward, right, let's go ahead and give me a like and a subscribe. And if you've got any questions or comments throughout any part of the video, right, just drop it into the comments. I'll try my absolute best to respond to you. So let's go ahead and get started. So, why is housing so expensive? This answers the question of why does it feel so hard to buy a home right now, okay? There's a general rule in personal finance. You shouldn't spend more than 30% of your income on housing. I mean, that's just a general rule of thumb, okay? That includes your mortgage payment, property taxes, insurance, all of it, okay? And if you're under 30%, practically they say that you're in good shape. If you're over 30%, I mean, it's considered unaffordable. You're spending way too much practically out of your means. Okay. So where are we right now? If you look at the big number in the center of the screen, it shows us that the average American household is spending 42% of their income on housing as of March 2026, according to the Federal Reserve. That is way above 30% line, right? I mean, if you take a look at the bottom right labeled as affordable threshold, I mean, it's well beyond the 30% line. Now, on the top right, where it says before 2008 crash, right before the housing market crashed, it was at 44%. So, one thing that I like to say all the time, especially I got it from Charlie Munger, is, I mean, it's history, doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes. And so there some things to absolutely be cautious about. We're almost right back at that danger zone. And if you take a look below that after the 2008 crash, it dropped all the way down to 25%. That was like the best time ever to buy a home. I mean, I was fortunate enough to be able to purchase a home at that time because, luckily, I say all the time, luckily I wasn't old enough and I didn't have enough money to buy a home right before the market crash. But I did, and I was able to afterwards. The only thing is, I remember a lot of cash buyers. Homes were cheap. There were a lot of cash buyers, a lot of foreign buyers, a lot of institutional buyers. But I finally got a home. Okay. Anyway, so prices were low, rates were about 4% or less, and all those extra costs like insurance, taxes, they haven't gone. They didn't go crazy yet. So why is it at 42% now, right? That's the question. I mean, it's a combination of everything. Home prices went up faster than paychecks. Mortgage rates shot up, and the hidden cost of owning a home, such as Things like HOA fees, insurance, property taxes. Those are all big things right now. And of course, you can't miss it, right? The repairs, potential remodels, all those things have been climbing way too fast. It's not just one problem. I mean, it's all of them all at the same time. So a big question is, where's the rates at right now? Right? I mean, every time you're trying to buy a home, it's like the first thing your loan officer is going to bring up to you is a discussion on rates. So where are the rates at right now? If you take a look, the large number on the left of the screen, right? 6.6%. You can see that as of this week, the average rate on a 30-year mortgage, 6.6%. That's hefty. It's going to cost you a lot of more money than if you were to get it at, the 3% that was, super popular several years ago. I mean, I don't know if we're going to ever get back to that point, but nonetheless, 6.6% is certainly quite an increase. The 30-year fixed mortgage is the most common type, okay? This means that your monthly payment is going to stay the same for 30 years if you get locked on that 30-year fixed rate. Now, 6.6% might not sound that bad if you've never purchased a home before, if you're not experienced purchasing a home, but let me give you some context here. Okay, and let me share with you why it's so vital that you get something at a good interest rate. And also one reason why some people are thinking about buying an expensive home at a high rate right now and pray that the interest rates drop so that they can refinance to a lower rate. This is going to give you some context, okay? So just 3 months ago, rates had actually dipped below 6%, okay? So in a short time, they climbed back up. And during the pandemic, a lot of people actually locked in interest rates on their homes that they bought for around 3% or potentially even lower. Okay. So when you go from paying a 3% interest on your home, your mortgage, to 6.6%, your monthly payment jumps by a whole lot. Okay. So just as an example, for a $400,000 home, the difference is roughly $800 more per month that you will be paying, or that you are paying if you did end up refinancing or purchasing home at 6.6 instead of the 3%. That's huge, okay? $800 more a month. I mean, you're talking about being able to purchase or pay for another vehicle, maybe like a Tesla Model 3 or something like that monthly, okay? So that's huge. Now, if you look at the 5-year context table on the right side, you can see that the rates have basically been bouncing around in that 6 to 8% range for 4 years now. So we've been stuck in this range for a long while. The big question everyone is asking is, of course, where do they go from here? And that's what I'm going to get into next. All right, so let me give you the answer of why mortgage rates go up and down. Okay, so most people believe and they think that the Federal Reserve controls mortgage rates, but that's not exactly how it works. Okay, mortgage rates actually follow the 10-year Treasury yield. So what's that? The Treasury yield is basically the amount that's paid back to you on a loan that you give to the government. So essentially, what happens is you give them your money, okay, and then they promise you that they'll pay you back in 10 years with some interest on top of that. It's real popular for, they call it fixed income because there's in theory, there's no better, safer investment than to, uh, loan money, your money to our government. Okay. So again, the interest rate on that deal, it's called the yield. And so when investors think about inflation and when they see that it's going up, they know that they're going to get a higher return back on their money if they invest in treasury yields, right? Treasury bonds. And so when the yield goes up, mortgage rates go up too because they're connected. Now, if you follow the chain reaction diagram on the right side of this screen here, you can see exactly how this plays out step by step. It starts at the top with inflation fears rising. That pushes the 10-year treasury yield up, and then it pulls mortgage rates higher, and ultimately homes cost more per month. So here's what happened recently, okay? The conflict between United States and Iran, right? You guys have all heard of that. The issues with the oil, the issues with the nuclear, uh, the issues with the Strait of Hormuz out there in the Middle East, all that, okay, created fears that energy prices would spike. And of course, we've seen it, right? Our gas pumps at Costco are even super expensive. And then you can see that called out at the bottom of the slide as well. Okay. If oil, gas, all that stuff gets more expensive, then basically everything else is going to get more expensive. That's called inflation. So investors got nervous and started demanding higher yields. And because mortgage rates follow the 10-year yield, they climbed right along with it. Now, the Fed does have some power here, okay? They can cut their own interest rates, which helps out a little bit. And you guys might have heard, right? We have a new Fed chairman, Kevin Warsh, who took over for the old chair, Jerome Powell. And he's, I mean, they brought him in because they think that he's going to be willing to cut rates, but he's in a tough spot right now with the way the economy is running. I'd say that much. Okay, that's my opinion. But at the end of the day, I mean, who knows what he'll do? He may potentially, you know, cut rates. Anyways, so the Fed, they can cut their own interest rate, which helps out a little bit, or they can buy treasury bonds directly, which pushes the yields down, the yield rate. It pushes those rates down. By cutting rates alone, it does not directly control mortgage rates, but I mean, it can assist it in some ways. So I'm going to wrap it up with this right here, okay? So housing is obviously really expensive right now. The average household is spending 42% of their income on housing, and that's close to where it was at right before the 2008 crash at 44%. Mortgage rates on a 30-year fixed loan are at 6.6% as of this week. And of course, you need to know that this is up from below 6% just recently, just a few months ago. During the pandemic, people were locking in rates around 3%, right? And so, again, those folks don't want to sell their home or refinance their home and get into a higher interest rate. For example, if they bought a home at 3% interest rate and they sell the house trying to upgrade into another home, when they upgrade into that and purchase a new home, if they're paying around 6.6%, that's going to cost them even more money. So it just doesn't make, financial sense. Now, here's the key thing that we learned about mortgage rates, and it's the fact that they don't follow the Federal Reserve directly, okay? They follow the 10-year Treasury yield. When investors get nervous about inflation, okay, they're going to demand higher returns, and then that's going to push the yields up, which pushes mortgage rates up. That's the cycle, okay? And that's exactly what's been happening. The conflict between the United States and Iran, of course, obviously have driven a lot of energy issues, price fears out that came out of that, that which ultimately ends up driving up inflation fears. And at the end of the day, that drives up higher interest rates. So, from a pure economic standpoint, right, should you buy a home? Should you? Here's the catch 22. If rates drop, okay, more buyers flood the market and home prices will obviously go up. If rates stay high, your monthly payment stays high as well. Affordability is unlikely to improve much at the end of the day. So the economics, right? I mean, it says the best time to buy was always in the past, which usually means paying one way or another. I think if you wanted my advice or my opinion would be that if you were to purchase a home, it would depend on your goal, right? For me personally, my own opinion, if I'm going to be living in that home for the next 10, 15, 20 years, if that's the home that I want to be in, I have an opportunity for it and I've got the finances to make it happen. I would do that and purchase the home so I can be where I want to be, overpay. But then when the time is right, when interest rates do come down and I am able to refinance for a better monthly payment, I may absolutely take a look into that as well. So, Anyways, I hope all this was informational to you. If you've got any questions, right, any comments, right, feel free to drop it into the chat. I will try my absolute best to respond back to you all. I appreciate you so much for watching, for giving me a like on that thumbs up button, for pressing on that subscribe button as well. I truly appreciate that, and thank you all so much. I will see you all next time. Have a great day and make it a good one.